Hello Group 1, thanks for tuning into your reading. So I've got The Star People by Brad and Francie Steger here, the book that I mentioned in my intro, and we're going to start off with a little book divination. So I've got your pile here, ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and focus for a second. Okay, let's get a passage from the book that will add some richness and some clarity, some depth to the reading, please, Spirit, regarding Group 1. Like, which starseed are they, or what is their starseed origin, and what are their gifts, okay? So I haven't looked through this book in ages. As you can see, it's quite an old book, probably from the 1970s. I do recommend it if you can find it and you're interested in this topic. With that being said, Spirit, what is the passage? Draw me to the right passage for Group 1. Draw me to the corresponding passage. It will add something to the reading for us, please. For the strongest collective energy of everyone who has chosen Group 1. We are not, then, great master teachers who have the ability to walk through time and space to aid others in their development. Our images are being utilized as activating mechanisms for the Star People. Interesting. As we get into the reading, we'll find out more what this passage is referring to, or what this passage is about. Like, my initial take from that passage is to do with, for this particular group, sort of like keeping your ego in check a little bit, and knowing too that you are teachers, but you are also, the portal, I guess you could say, through which divine knowledge is coming in. And so it comes through you, it's not of you, okay? And that means that this has nothing to do necessarily with, with your ego, which you might want to take credit for it. No, it doesn't have anything to do with that, as much as it has to do with the fact that you are being utilized as an activating mechanism for the Star People, or for other Star People, right? For other star seeds. And this passage also does talk about, or refer to, because in that section of the book, if I recall, it is about people having a response to you when they first meet you, as if they have met you before. And this is because your image has been utilized in a dream state, or in the fifth dimension, or higher dimensions, when people are unconscious. Your image has been one that has come to them and taught them certain lessons. And so that's part of the reason why, people feel familiar with you pretty early on after you meet them, or that you resonate with people in certain ways, okay? But yeah, that's kind of what it's saying there. So let's get into the rest of your reading. I'll set that passage aside and refer to it, as it comes out. So with that being said, I think I'm going to start with your oracle cards, and we're going to set your tarot cards aside. So Group 1, your starseed gifts and origins. The first card that we got for you was from the Work Your Light deck, the Age of Light. You've been training for this for lifetimes, okay? So that does go along with that passage, because you are at a position, where you teach. And you are a master teacher, but you shouldn't, let that go to your head. I don't know why that's coming through. And you can see the light. See, it even refers to, like what I said a moment ago about the light coming through you, divine knowledge coming through you. And you can see, over her head, there is a stream of light coming down, through her crown chakra and through her. And she's a teacher, okay? So what this card is also talking about, because I have meditated on all of these cards, and this is a new deck for me. I actually have had it for a long time. I just don't use it. I wasn't drawn or called to use it before today. So I did get really deep into it, and so just know that what's coming through. It's got a lot of substance to it, because this card basically says that you are. I'm seeing the sparkling here. You are a multifaceted gem. You are like a jewel, okay? And we see these beautiful colors here. I really like these pastel colors, but it does show like jewelry. You're like a jewel that your soul, metaphorically, you know, started off as a rock and has been tumbled and tumbled by lifetimes and experiences for such a long time, you know, that now you're like a diamond. And I am hearing that song, that Rihanna song, Shine Bright Like a Diamond. So, you're being asked to shine, and you're not meant to dim your light or hide your light behind a bushel, but you are meant to understand, you know, where you come from, and the sort of like the mechanisms through which you became this person who can and does awaken others, resonate with others, and teach others, okay? And it's meant to be a little bit humbling, but also to let you know that, you know, divinity is sacred, and it's its own thing. It's not of the human ego. And so with that being said, you have been through it. I mean, you really have been through it. Diamonds are created from, what is it, carbon that's been pressurized for thousands of years or longer. So it's you've been through it, and as a result of it, you are a diamond. You know, gorgeous. You're gorgeous. You're a masterpiece, really. And this card does talk about you being, for whoever this card is for, which is, it's for you, group one. I pulled it for you, saying that you are a masterpiece. So, you know, you have been training for this awakening that you're causing for other people, this teaching that you do, whether you realize it or not. You've been training for this for eons, basically, to be here, and at the very least, to just be here, you know, be here in this period of history, you know, during this long predicted time of great change, like the seers and the mystics of old, like this time of change that we're going through presently. It's been predicted for a long time. And so it's no mistake that you're here. So just know that, okay? And also they want you to just know that you got this. No matter how daunting it gets, you know, you have all the yous, okay? All the yous from all the realms that have ever existed still alive inside of you, living this with you. So that's another thing. Living this with you. This is coming through you. It is through you and of you both, okay? And it's like we have infinite parallel realities and infinite lifetimes, and time is an illusion, so it's all interconnected in a way that is unfathomable to the human mind. So just know that, though, you are supported. Bottom line, you're supported. You have all those yous you've ever been or ever will be in you, ready for this. And they're alive inside of you, coming through you, helping you and guiding you in the conscious state as well as the unconscious state, okay? So, you know, you just basically, it just can't be overemphasized that you wouldn't believe how intricate your soul is or how ready you are for what you came here to do. And what did you come here to do? You came here to lean in, okay? So the previous passage is not in any way meant to inspire hesitation in you about your power, about your worth, or about your gifts. This is instead telling you to lean in. You know, you came here to step forward. This is not a lifetime to stay hidden. This is the lifetime to rise and shine. Take up space. Be seen. Okay? You're ready. So move this to the side. Hey, you. And the next card that came out for you guys, this is getting more specifically into your starseed origins. And we've got the tall whites. So for the strongest collective energy of everyone who chose group 1, starseed origin that's coming through for you now is the tall whites. And the card says uncertainty, distrust, and guarded. So that could describe you. Or this is how you were then. Then, right? Because time is, you know, an illusion. And interestingly, we're asking, like, where are your origins from? The origin of the tall whites is considered unknown, okay? But they are thought to have a connection to or be of, like, Pleiadian, is that how you say it? Pleiadian or Electra ancestry, or Lyrian ancestry, which is, I believe that is like the cat extraterrestrials. And their face kind of looks like that. Very large eyes, little pointy chin. a little bit cat-like, maybe especially in the eyes. And they're agile like cats, so I can see that as well. So when I first pulled this card, I immediately heard indigo, so some of you could identify with or resonate with indigo. But now that's just a clue for anyone that that resonates with. But in terms of like your starseed origin, let's talk about this starseed that we have here, okay? And let's get to know them a little bit better. You can tell by the card that they are tall, right? They're tall. The book says they're like 6 feet to 7 feet. They're thin, obviously with eyes twice the size of humans, and that their eyes tend to be blue, and then they get pink as they age. And they're said to actually live about 900 years. So imagine all that you can learn in that time. So you originate from this line. It's no wonder that they're telling you to lean in. You have been through so much, but you've also learned so much, have so much to offer in the way, I'm hearing, of power, but also empowering others, enlightenment, and knowledge to share. So what else about this? You know, these ETs are extremely family oriented, and I'm going to try to link a video that I had watched, you know, I don't know, it's been a couple years. Like, I've been deep diving into the origin of starseeds and such interests, the occult in general, and these sort of far out topics since the 80s, basically. So I was a little girl. And but there was a video that I did watch, and it was talking about, I think he was, you know, an army recruit, and he was, you know, posted someplace where it was basically understood and known that the tall whites, you know, frequented that area. And he talks about their fierce protection of their children, and how that, you know, it basically just validated everything that the author of the book that this card is based on had said. So that added some validity to the extent it can be added with regard to what they say about this card. And bottom line with it, though, they're very, very family oriented, and sometimes, you know, they, you know, bring their children with them, which they did to this range where this soldier, I guess he was overlooking or watching this particular outpost. It's an interesting story. He has a lot of credibility to him, at the very least. You know, if you're interested, I will try to link it if I can find it. So they're just extremely protective of their kids, scarily so, to say the least, okay? I think he even quoted them as saying, not with words because they speak telepathically, but basically that the way that humans love their children is basically like 1/100th of, or 1/1000th of a percent of how they feel about theirs, which is a big statement, because, you know, humans, obviously, a lot of humans, if not most, really, really love their children, but it doesn't compare to how they love their children. So this might resonate with you if you have children, want children, or you feel this kind of way about children in general, or family. Like, you could be very fiercely protective of friends, family, and children here. They're actually not the most emotionally demonstrative. So it's like they're really fiercely protective of children and that childlike energy, but they themselves are not emotionally demonstrative, which is kind of the opposite of how children are, right? But they do definitely feel emotions, obviously. I could just kind of summed it up how they feel emotions, at least regarding their children. And they do feel them. They can be quick to anger, quick to retaliation when they're provoked. So they're actually kind of dangerous in a sense. They can be, especially to humans who they don't trust. So basically, they are warriors. So, but only when they're provoked. But they do have, yeah, I can resonate with that. It's okay. When provoked, they're quick to anger and retaliation. And they don't really trust humans, like I said. And I can't say that I entirely blame them. I'm hearing, nobody move, nobody get hurt. So, nobody move, nobody get hurt. That's from a movie or a song, but basically that's how they are. And if you're in their presence as a human, then you would be very careful about, like, no fast moves. You'd be careful, you'd watch yourself, you'd be slow to move so that they would not get jumpy around you. And maybe this is how you are. Like, do you startle easily? Are you innately sort of uncertain, distrustful, or guarded around really, I'm hearing really basic humans, really, Spirit? but really just humans, other people, especially like if you don't know them or have reason to not trust them for some reason, they just don't vibe with you or whatever the case is, then this could be saying that, you know, that's kind of how you are. So in terms of gifts, like you're very protective and family oriented, but you also will stand up for yourself, and fiercely so. And you know, just back to them as a whole, they are interested in the way that humans care for animals in nature, though. And I think that's interesting that they're interested in the fact that we care for animals and the animal kingdom so much. Because I believe I recall them talking about that this particular race doesn't care about animals, right? They consider them inferior. They're intellectually inferior. And so why would you care about them? It's almost like they're gnats. Why do you love gnats so much? But we do, obviously, right? That is that part of us that is elemental, connecting with other elemental creatures. We're of the same planet, regardless of if we do have, and the majority, I mean, we're all star seeds. It's just a matter of how far removed we are from our origins and what our mission is and things of that nature. So that's my opinion about it. But yeah, they think that's interesting that we care for animals so much as a whole. And then they also say that their manners, the tall white's manners, are very deliberate and focused. I feel like I'm finding myself being very deliberate and focused lately, and especially during this reading, because I think this is a fascinating topic, and it's not one that it's not one that I've ever done before, and I'm wanting to sort of just make sure that, you know, it's making sense, and what's being, the message that are meant to come through are coming through. So with that being said, they're very deliberate and focused, and they don't really like to multitask or engage in small talk. The males hardly talk at all, it said, and the women or females, they talk a little bit. So yeah, it's kind of funny. Even across species, the men tend to be a little bit quieter, and the females tend to talk a little, but overall, neither one of them talks a lot, even telepathically. They're kind of like the strong silent type, I guess. So maybe that resonates with you as well, which I find is a strength or a gift, you know, especially if I'm in the mood to talk. It's always nice to have someone around to listen. But with that being said, we see green in the background here, but they actually are said to prefer dry climates, even like, I want to say like desert climates. Well, I guess that is very similar to dry climates. And they are said to inhabit a mountain on Earth on a treaty basis, on the basis that they provide anti-gravity technology, but they would not and will not provide any technology that's too advanced for humans, like light speed and stuff. They say that, you know, obviously they're not gonna give a machine gun to a toddler, right? We're not ready for that. So, but they do exist on the earthly plane in the 3D, supposedly in a mountain on a treaty basis, and they provide like anti-gravity technology. And so some of those UFOs that have been reported or that you might have seen, I've seen UFO myself, although I believe mine was authentic. Some of them are reproductions based, like, so human or man-made, but based on the anti-gravity technology that beings like the tall whites you know, have given. So, but yeah, so basically, to sum it up, they're warriors and techies. Okay, they're technologically advanced, and they're warriors, and they love their kids like infinitesimally, like infinitely, and so I think it's infinitely. So gifts with this card for you guys, that you tend to be cautious, sensitive, agile, and graceful. Okay, so those are some of the gifts. It's not a bad thing to be cautious. Sometimes caution is needed. I mean, right? I mean, look at humans. Look at our history. I mean, they would be most ungifted not to be cautious around us. And same for you. You have your reasons for being cautious. You could be quite sensitive. Sensitivity is frowned upon by the ego, but it is actually its own superpower. It helps you to, you know, you can't change or address what you don't acknowledge, and you can't acknowledge something if you're not aware of it. So sensitivity helps make you aware of things. And then being like agile and graceful, like very, I don't know if you're physically limber or flexible or graceful, but there's something about you, like it's like kind of like athletic, or it's about being strong, but also moving well, and especially moving, you know, well and fast at the same time when needed. So the next card that we got for you guys in terms of like your starseed gifts is number 30, the fire element, warrior, passion, fearlessness. And I just noticed that I said warrior for these guys, and it's listed actually as one of the keywords on this card. So at some point I'll stop, you know, pointing out the synchronicities, because all you need to do is buy your own cards, buy a tarot deck and an oracle deck, you know, focus, ask a question, pull cards from either one, and you'll see like all kinds of overlapping synchronicities and corresponding. It just happens naturally, and anybody can do this. So I just wanted to say that it is still fun to think about the synchronicities. It does feel magical, but yeah, so you might be a fire sign in this life, have it strong in your chart. You don't have to, or you might just have these traits. I think this goes pretty well with what was described, you know, with the tall whites. The fire sign card talks about, you know, Archangel Michael, if you were ever particularly drawn to him or what he stands for. Also, the book says Prometheus, and Prometheus, I had to look him up because I'd never heard of Prometheus, is a fire deity or a titan. So you're going to see why that's pretty fascinating in a moment. But yeah, fire deity or a titan, masculine yang energy. Okay, so this is what it means to be a fire element, passionate, fearless, and warrior. So it definitely does go along with what was described here. So the gifts for you, group 1, you know, your starseed gifts and origin. Some of your gifts with this card is confidence, creativity, and initiative. So you might be very sensitive, reserved, or cautious, but that does not in any way mean that you are not a go-getter or confident or have this potential, okay? If this is your reading and it's resonating, then this is, you know, this is who you are, what you're meant to be. And this is who you were at the very least. In some realm, this is coming through for you for a reason here. There's some messages here for you regarding these things. So I'm going to set these over to the side as well. And then I think we'll get into the tarot cards. And if the reading is resonating, please hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell to receive notifications for when I upload my next video so you don't miss it. And if you'd like a private reading, my contact information is in the description box down below. Thanks for everyone who participated in the flash sale. That was a hit, okay? I appreciate you guys. So, getting back into it, Starseed Origins. So, the card that I got for Starseed Origins, that was my question. When I focused, I pulled, I said Starseed Origins. We got the Sun. And check out this guy. What did I just say a moment ago about Prometheus? And Prometheus is literally the god of fire. And you know, this deck is unique. Most decks just show the kid on the horse, you know, riding in the pasture in the sun. You know, that's what the Sun card looks like traditionally, or some variation of that. And this is the Tarot of Dreams. And it's the only deck, I think, well, it's the only deck that I own that has like a fire god on it. It's got an actual fire god, fire deity on it. And that's just amazing considering that this card stands for a fire deity. And I couldn't have planned that if I tried, because this is I mean, I just wouldn't anyway. It's not time, like, why would you do that? So anyway, so in terms of light worker, okay, so that's what I'm getting. I didn't mean to say that. You basically a light worker. If you identify with that, and then this is your validation that you're here to bring in the light. And we saw that before, you know, with the light coming down in the Age of Light card, definitely here to bring in the light. You're a light worker. And that does go along with the God of Fire narrative of the previous card, you know, which, like I said, Prometheus is literally a god of fire. And as such, basically, to be more specific, you know, you're all about the success of the conscious mind and overcoming any obstacles or fears of the unconscious. And this is what you're meant to show the world and inspire in others, is to overcome the obstacles of fears / ego. Back to the passage we read at the start, fear and ego are very similar, basically the same in a sense. You're meant to demonstrate the success of the conscious mind, you know, over fear and ego and obstacles of the unconscious mind, usually through the attainment of knowledge. Okay, so you are very advanced, with this being your origin, and this is what you're doing here. This is like your journey now, is to keep attaining knowledge and keep applying like your conscious mind to bring the light in, to cast down the darkness, right? So that's what you're doing. It's also a very fun card, right? This is Leo energy. It's a card of celebration, success, and joy. So it does show, those are some of the things that you might have, you know, you might be gifted with as well. You might be somebody that is very joyful and successful, and does enjoy a good celebration, or good at, you know, throwing celebration, something along those lines. It's a general reading, so just take what resonates. I'm going to slide this to the side. Yeah, just take what applies and let the rest fly. So what are you learning? What has your starseed origins in this life? What is it meant to teach you? What are you learning from all this? We've got the Four of Cups in reverse. This is what it looks like in the upright. Put it back in reverse. Well, no, I'm gonna leave it. Leave it upright. It's because it's you can see it better that way. So basically what you're learning with this card, you're learning lessons around boredom. The Sun card is the perennial child, okay? Again, with this child energy, isn't that interesting? Because, you know, you are originating from a people who really valued children, and now you're coming through as something of a powerful child yourself with that Sun energy. But children get bored. They need constant stimulation. They need toys and experiences and things to entertain them. And so maybe this is some sort of a lesson in here for you about boredom and taking things for granted, aloofness, or not appreciating the abundance that you do have, because you do have abundance. Okay, you have a lot of power, but you've also, your history is very rocky, like I said. You know, you've been tumbled through lifetimes. You were the rock that has finally been buffed into a gem, and it's like you have been through a lot. I'm looking at this now, because I talked about being multifaceted. You're multifaceted. So just take like a rough, you know, hunk of something, right? We started off kind of like this. Well, you wouldn't even have been this. You would have been like a lump of coal or something. And now you're this multifaceted diamond, basically. But when you achieve that, you can start to take it for granted, right? And so this is basically the lesson here. So maybe you were just on top of your game, and I mean, you're Prometheus, basically. So I imagine, and the first message was about ego, so it's like trying to teach you about humbling yourself a bit. So this is basically, just to stick with this card, lesson about boredom, lessons about taking things for granted. You're not to do that. Lessons about maybe just being aloof and like getting bored with what you have, like taking stuff for granted. There are good things in your life. You're not meant to take them for granted. You might be very blessed, right? You know, physically, intellectually, just in certain ways. And so with that being said, some of you have started, you know, down your spiritual awakening path, or you are in search of more meaning in your life, because you know what happens after the fun and the celebration, the shadow side of the sun is like it all starts to become like superficial. It all starts to feel empty. It always reminds me, shadow side of the card always reminds me of Louis from Interview with the Vampire. Louis is a character played by Brad Pitt, and he says at one point in the movie that, you know, basically he's dining at the best, you know, 5-star restaurants. He has the best of everything, the finest clothes, this and that. But everything is tasteless now. He's been experiencing these same things for lifetimes, because, you know, he's a vampire, so he doesn't die. He's been alive for like however many hundreds of years. And some of these things, the pleasures of life, have lost their flavor, have lost their allure. And on some level, your soul feels that way. Because this is far from your first time at the rodeo, like I've said multiple times. So at some level, if you feel like taking stuff for granted or bored or aloof, and you can't figure out why, because you have stimulation, you have things around you that you should, like the universe is offering you more cups, and you're like, I don't really care for any. I don't really appreciate certain things. And so you've been set off on the search for meaning, but it could be, you just want to take a look at, like, are you ignoring some potential happiness in your life that's being offered to you now? Have you started doing that in general, like ignoring happiness that's being given to you? You know, gifts or gestures or just these opportunities. It might be that you're just like studying too much, or getting too spiritual, or meditating too much, or just like too disenchanted with life that you're actually overlooking potential happiness. Things that used to give you pleasure don't as much anymore. But either way, bottom line with this card is too much inner focus. Is it making you lose your way? And for some of you, you know, it's caused you to start denying the wonders the world has to offer. Again, not because you're a bad person or you're an ungrateful brat or anything like that, although if it resonates and the shoe fits, wear it. Okay. I mean, for the majority, it's understandable, based on what we're seeing here, that things are feeling a little bit disenchanting. So the lesson, we came here, and your lesson here is to find balance. You know, you must look inwards as well as outwards. It's not easy being a god sometimes, okay? It's not easy having all the worlds at your disposal. Like, that is your energy, that is your power, that's what you're working with. And whether you've realized it or not, and if you are not realizing it, maybe that's the reason for your spiritual journey, for those that resonates with, is trying to seek deeper meaning, because you know that you're missing something. But what you're missing is like, you know, don't lose sight of the things that you still value in the present, just because you're looking for something more or something different, or to understand something, right? Okay, so what is the big message from Spirit? We're about to wrap it up, group 1. Just a heads up. The big message from Spirit and the future outcome for you regarding, you know, your journey is the Hierophant. So that's Taurus energy. But regardless of your sign, you know, what they're saying is, you know, follow the tried and true. And the tried and true is valuable, okay? It is valuable. There's still much to be appreciated in your experiences. Find a way to appreciate those things that have brought you joy and happiness in the past or in the present that you might be overlooking. They say it's not time to stray from this path. If you are on, it looks like you very much are on a spiritual path with the Hierophant and the Faith here. And they want you to stick with it. You know, and keep up with your pursuit of knowledge and or your pursuit of spiritual guidance. Do those things that you like to do, pray, meditate, you know, read the tarot cards, get the tarot readings, or whatever it is that works for you, in terms of helping you to connect with your inner guidance. And your inner guidance system is what I'm hearing. They're saying keep doing that, okay? Even if it's traditional religion, it's like whatever connects you to source energy from which you came, keep doing that. Because some of you are Christians. I'm hearing the Son of God, which is literal interpretation of this card. Like you're a child of the Sun. S-U-N is S-O-N. But that's not going to be for everybody. It's going to be for someone, but the majority, however you choose to take this. It's okay to be traditional. It's okay to conform. And it's okay to have morality and ethics too. Because there's somebody here that's sort of like, making this harder than it needs to be, basically. this journey that you're on, you're feeling like like in the 50s and the 60s, when they talk about somebody not being cool, they would call them a square. And we see these two, they might fit that category based on their description of being a square, right? And maybe there's a part of you, I don't want to be a square. Like, you're kind of like, there's this rub here. It's like you're being drawn to greater, deeper things, to embody your true self, to follow a spiritual path, to just like to share your knowledge, to be the light, and all of these things. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, I want to party and have fun too, or, you know, behave childlike too. There's a part of you not wanting to grow up despite the fact that you're disenchanted. So it's like, it's okay to have morality and ethics. It's okay to be square. Just don't let yourself become smug or ungrateful. That is the takeaway for the whole thing. Okay. I mean, it would be easy to think that you're all that in a bag of chips based on who you are, group one, but that's not what you're meant to do, and you know that. You're aware of that. It's just reiterating, letting you know you're on the right path, stay on that path, you know, but just don't neglect the tried and true. It's still valuable to you. There's a way to have balance here. So the oracle cards that we got for you, we got don't let pride get in your way, full moon in Leo. Again, what was the passage that we read when we first started? Let me read it again. We are not then great master teachers who have the ability to walk through time and space to aid others in their development. Our images are being utilized as activating mechanisms for the star people. So you're being utilized as an extension of source. Don't let it go to your head, right? And don't let pride get in your way from making the changes that you're feeling guided to take, or to walk this more spiritual, enlightened path. And then we've got a card here from I forget the name of this deck, sorry. It says, oh, I'm going to butcher this. Mahavatra. Oh my, I'm not even going to try. Soul expansion. Your consciousness is expanding. You understand the connection between all things. Yeah, and like I try to convey, see, this is how your soul is. Like, imagine, see this intricacy behind him, this mandala or whatever this is. Make 1 trillion copies of this and superimpose them on top of each other, and that is your soul. That is your journey, and that's what your journey has been and will be. And you're expanding in consciousness. That's what you're meant to do. So it's just validating, you know, that you do understand on some level the connection between all things. And your spiritual path is meant to help reawaken that within you, or perpetuate that in you, like to keep it going so that you can be more of that and expand. Then we've got charity, prayer, and contemplation. Oh, yep. And I pulled the tarot first and this after, and I almost didn't use this deck because, well, it doesn't matter. But we've got prayer and contemplation. Connect with heaven, ask and you shall receive. So you are an excellent manifester. So whatever you need help with, help understanding, doing, having, seeing, or being regarding your past, present, and future, you're being asked to pray and contemplate on it. You know, connect with heaven and ask and you shall receive. I mean, there's nothing cooler than that. All the wisdom teachers tell you, ask and you shall receive, basically. We're all natural born manifestors. Extensions of the creative source, extensions of creator. There's nothing cooler than that. And if you have to be a little square to pray and contemplate, you know, and put your ego aside in order to achieve this soul expansion, and to like start, you know, making good with the things that you might be taking for granted, and slowing down enough to, fire signs are fast moving energy. You want to just pull it and like slow down your energy enough to make a gratitude list every day. Stop and smell the flowers. Notice the things that you have in your life that are good. Even if they are tried and true, they're still valid. They're still good for you. There are still things that are still worth living for, worth thriving for, even though you are disenchanted with life at times. All right, this is what I got for you, Group 1. I do hope that made sense. Okay. I think that was everything, and so I'm going to move on to Group 2. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell to receive notifications if you haven't already. And if you'd like a private reading, my contact information is down below. And remember, it is a general reading. Take what resonates, forget what doesn't. I will try to remember to link the things I said I would link, and I will talk to you guys next time. Welcome, Group 2. Thanks for tuning into your reading. So this is your Starseed Gifts and Starseed Origins reading. And I'm going to use the Star People to get a book message, or do a little book divination here. And so with that being said, I do have your cards here pre-shuffled. We're going to look into your Starseed Origins, see what message Spirit has for those who have been drawn to Group 2. We get a message from the Star People for Group 2, please, to add some clarity or some insight or some richness to the reading. And Group 2, I was telling Group 1, this is an old book. If you can find it, I would recommend reading it if this is something that you're interested in. But I have not looked at it, and I haven't read it basically in years. Kind of dusty, but we're going to do this. So, Spirit, for Group 2, show us what we need to see. A message for Group 2 regarding the reading, please. Got number 6, projection during pseudo-death, wherein the subject appears to die for several moments and is subsequently revived and restored to life. It is in this category that many subjects describe their meetings with masters, teachers, and angel guides. So the number 6 could play into the reading somehow, but some of you have had near-death experiences. NDEs, near-death experiences. I myself have had one. Others of you might have traveled out of body, OBEs, out-of-body experiences. I've also done that myself. But that's what it's saying. Projection during pseudo-death, wherein the subject appears to die for several moments and is subsequently revived and restored to life. So it's like going home real quick to attend classes because, you know, time is an illusion. You could be gone for only a few seconds here on Earth, but have spent weeks or months or longer studying over on the other side and then coming back in with all this attained knowledge after having studied under masters, teachers, and angel guides. So that's what it's saying. So let's put this aside and come back to it, you know, as we start the reading, go through it, and if it resonates some more, has other messages, you know, maybe it'll make more sense as we go on. So it's interesting. So that being said, guys, let's get your cards out. I'm going to start with your oracle cards. So what are your Starseed gifts and origins? So from the Work Your Light deck, the first card that I pulled for you was Mintaken. Longing for home, belonging, the original light workers. So you guys are the OGs, right? You're the original light workers. And I was not familiar with this deck. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this reading. I use, you know, a few different decks across the different readings that I am not terribly familiar with, so that I could learn, because I'm getting something out of doing this reading for you guys. You're getting the reading and I am getting like the education. So with that being said, I did do some research on this card and reflect and meditate like I always do. And what we're getting here is basically Mintaken is from the Orion constellation. And if I recall, it's believed, yeah, it's just basically believed to be believed to be where the original light workers, you know, come from. Yeah. So the first star beings that come to Earth, they came from here, and so this is where you originate, Group 2. So this is obviously, you can tell from the picture, it's a water world with crystal clear water. So, you know, individuals from here, starseeds from here, are said to be most at home, you know, around this kind of water. And, you know, it is really stunning. So if you've always been drawn to even that color or the water, particularly crystal clear water, that's more validation that you found the right reading. So what is the Starseeds mission here? This mission is to teach how, basically it's to teach yourself and others, like how to see the potential in all things and the light in all beings, basically. Okay, you can see how she's kind of glowing here with the white lights coming off of her, and she's looking towards the stars. The stars are glowing in the sky. It's basically about that. That's your mission. Okay, and to teach yourself and others, maybe just others, but you know, to be on the safe side, maybe you need to learn some things too. Often when we're teaching something, you know, we're learning as well. In fact, you definitely are. If you've ever taught anything, and the best way to learn it is to teach it. So this is your mission, to teach, you know, people to appreciate, to see the potential in all things, and in all beings. So group 1, they could benefit from interacting with you a little bit more, I think, and just in terms of, like, you know, feeling gratitude and seeing the light inside of people. So this starseed type is most likely to feel out of place, though. That's the caveat, right? There's this beautiful energy of seeing the light in others, but it is the loneliest, or one of the lonelier types of starseeds that feel out of place, like they don't belong, or they really long for home. So if you've ever been the type that's ever felt like you just don't belong wherever you're at, you know, and you can't pin it down, like, why do I feel this way? I can't pin it down. It's this longing for another place, okay? Longing for home. This is your home. This is where you originate from. And so you might actually be the type that moves around a lot. I'm hearing like drifts in and out of different social circles even. And just take what resonates and forget what doesn't. Take what applies and let the rest fly, because it is a general reading, but it is about that, you know, the sense of searching for where you belong. You just keep looking for that place where you fit in and belong. But, you know, this card is insisting that you create your home and a sense of belonging instead of waiting for it to happen to you. Because you really choose where your home is. Like, any place can be home. Home is where the heart is. Like, you've heard it. There's a reason that has stood the test of time. It is because you can choose your experience. You're a manifester. You're a creator. So they're guiding you to choose where your home is. That's not something that you're going to necessarily find, or that's going to necessarily happen to you. It's something you're going to create. So, and they're also saying, like, connecting with Earth will help you with this. Because you're used to this water world, right? This is your home, but you need to connect with Earth. The Earth herself has a lot to offer. Energetically, she's very healing. She's got nurturing energy. She's got her own, like, sort of high vibrational energy too that you can connect with. That'll help you to feel less less alone and things like that. And that's a way that you can, you know, get out in nature more, and then just sort of telegraph to the universe, hey, I'm looking for where I belong. And some of you who relate to this could actually use like a root chakra clearing. I don't know where you would go. Maybe check out like your local massage therapists or Reiki practitioners, or look online for someone to do. Maybe you could do it yourself, or listen to different frequencies to do a root chakra clearing so that you can feel more safe and secure. Okay, so because of the nature of this card, I did something for you that I didn't do for the other groups, and I didn't do it for group 1. Maybe I did for group 3, which is get you the affirmation associated with this card that you can say, so that to sort of, you know, set you on the right track and attune you to the frequency of what you're wanting, which is to belong, which is to feel safe. And so the affirmation you could say is, I allow myself to be truly here and at home on this planet. I release any grief about not belonging or feeling held, and I call in my perfect home. Okay? So with that being said, the next card that we got for you guys is the water element. And I'm chuckling because it's just like whatever. Like I told group 1, if you have trouble believing in the synchronicities that you see, you know, on this channel or other channels, simply buy yourself an oracle deck and a tarot deck and ask a question of both of them, and then see how they overlap and correspond. Because this, I mean, we're talking about water here. So you could be a water sign. You could have strong water in your chart, or those traits. You don't have to, but this is your energy of your starseed origins, okay? Number 40, water element, reflection, kindness, compassion. So those are likely gifts that you have. You're reflective, you're kind, you're compassionate. And you know, the ruler of this card is Archangel Gabriel, so you might want to look him up or her up to learn more sort of about your gifts, as well as Poseidon. And I know that Poseidon's a god, or he was in like ancient, like what, Greek mythology. So I had to look him up just to see, and he was the god of the seas and the waters. So I mean, that was pretty self-explanatory, because you know, if he's associated with this card, that makes sense. But yeah, so Poseidon is might have some sort of resonance. His story might have some sort of resonance with you. But bottom line, you are gifted with understanding, emotion, creativity. All of these things are valuable. All of these things are needed on Earth at this time. And so that's probably, you know, one of the reasons why you're here. It's like all of these are needed here at this time. So the next card that come out for you guys, now this is where we're getting a little more specific into like your actual ET origins. We've got Alpha Centaurians or Centaurians. And we can't escape. I love it. The synchronicities, once again, all water from 3 different decks. That came out, you know, organically, should go without saying. So what does it say? Foresight, planning, strategy. So more of your gifts, okay? You have the gift of foresight. Maybe you see things happening before they happen. With all this water energy, it's likely you're psychic or have strong intuitive gifts. Like the more that you pay attention to your emotions, grow in emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is highly underrated in our society. If there was more in the world in general, if there was more emotional intelligence, a lot of the strife that we see, the trouble that we're experiencing as a people, as a race, wouldn't even be happening. But you have that, or you're growing into that, and maybe you're a good planner and strategy. So to me, this is like, see how he's sitting at like a chessboard, it looks like. Kind of showing the marrying of emotion with intellect. That being in your emotions doesn't make you dumb, doesn't make you weak, doesn't make you any of the things that the erroneous ego has projected onto people and made people believe. It actually is quite powerful, valid, and valuable, and needed. And so let's talk about this particular starseed. So like their name says, you know, Alpha Centaurians, they do reside in the Alpha Centaurus. Maybe you're a Taurus with that Taurus. I keep being drawn to that. Alpha Centaurus constellation. And it said that, I'm just going to call them ACs because it's easier. ACs won't connect with humans unless it's divine timing, unless like the stars align. There has to be a good reason. There's something to do with timing. They won't connect with humans unless the timing is right. And the human also has to be able to connect in such a way as to not disrupt or lower their high vibration, because they're very high vibrational. They are in the violet frequency. Well, they're blue and everything, so I guess that makes sense. It said they're in the violet, it's kind of a purplish blue frequency, which is extremely high frequency. So for a, like for instance, a medium or a channeler or something, to channel their energy, they would have to be like top notch, very high vibrational to even connect. And that include with that timing. The timing would also have to be right. It's like the perfect storm of requirements would have to be met in order to connect with this person or with this being, this race. So maybe maybe you're kind of an untouchable, right? This energy can sometimes tend to be a loner because they have been rejected so many times, or because they have this innate sadness and longing for a place that they cannot understand. And so maybe that resonates with you, or you just have high standards, or you're just very sensitive. You won't allow any low vibrational people around you, or to deal with them or deal with you, because you're not going to, I mean, it's literally painful to lower your vibration. It's painful or uncomfortable, to say the least, for the Alpha Centaurian to lower their vibration. That's why they don't do it. But do get kind of like a a little bit of a snooty vibe, or not a snooty vibe, but just somebody that's like erudite, somebody that is high value, high worth. And this is the energy that, so maybe you identify with being a high value person, like you don't you don't lower yourself too much to connect with other people, or maybe that's one of the reasons you feel so lonely. You feel like you would have to lower yourself a lot to connect with the masses or to be like everybody else. So just take it how it resonates there. Let's get back with this though. So in terms of this race, oh, yeah, I'm getting like and I believe it said in the book that they don't tolerate disrespect. Like they're intolerant to disrespect. And because they're so sensitive, you know, they can pick up on subtle disrespect. So even on the surface, other people might be like, you're crazy. Nobody, that person didn't disrespect you. And AC here would be like, nah, they meant a little disrespect. And they're just like intolerant to that. Or they're also kind of like averse to, or they don't like overly idealized fantasies, but they prefer to keep, you know, within the natural laws. So like the natural laws of the universe. I'm hearing the natural laws of consciousness. Okay, natural laws of consciousness. Some of the laws of the universe, law of attraction, law of assumption, but here on earth it's like laws of gravity, like the natural laws. They like to, like they know what the laws of the universe are and the parameters within which we have to operate. And they like to stick to those. So it's interesting. I'd like to pick their brain, but I'm probably not high vibrational enough to channel them. Or am I? I don't know. If you are and you're resonating with this reading, you know, hit me up. But no, seriously. And in terms of like their characteristics, you know, they're said to be between like 5'5", which is like the average height of, you know, average height in the Western Hemisphere of a female or woman, and as tall as like 8 feet. And obviously they are humanoid in the sense that they have like 2 arms, 2 legs. And as you can see on their card, they have bluish skin, bulging round eyes, longer hair. They're said to have aquatic features, which makes sense because they're from a water planet, which again, interesting because these are 2 different decks and they were pulled separately. The story tells itself. I am just the facilitator here. I love it though. And I would say that I regret not catching that on camera, but you guys don't want to hear me freaking out. Oh my God, are you effing serious? Oh my God. You know, freaking out every time because I should be used to this by now. And part of me is like, it's just another synchronicity. Oh, or that. But this one was just fun to do because of all the water here, and blue is pretty. But anyway, I digress. So what else? Flowing clothes, athletic builds. So some of you could like to wear flowing clothes, could have an athletic build. Some of you could have larger than normal eyes, or aristocratic. Do you remember the blue bloods? Do you hear, like in history class, they would refer to aristocrats, like the upper echelons of society, as being blue bloods. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from this individual. I don't know what color AC's blood are, and obviously human blue bloods weren't really blue bloods. I think that it was that their skin was so pale that you could see, you know, their veins underneath, and in the veins appear blue. So, and that was that was considered high class and valuable because it meant that they didn't have to labor out in the sun, and because their skin was like translucent, basically. It was so white from not having to do any work that you could see their blue blood, and hence the term blue blood was born. But aristocratic bearing is what I'm getting here. So some of you could have that, and also getting direct and respectful communication. So they're direct and to the point, but they're not disrespectful, because again, they're averse to disrespect. They don't like that. Also, the book talks about them being vegan or vegetarians or having some other sort of strict diet, not tolerating the earth's sunlight very well. So maybe, I don't know if you're a sun baby or not, but your origins are that of someone who you know, couldn't tolerate the sunlight very well, and they may dwell in deep ocean regions of the earth and be part of the Agartha inner earth USO sightings. Like the book talks about USO sightings. I did not know what that was, had to look that up. It's unidentified submerged object. So I knew that was probably what it was. I didn't know the exact wording. Anybody that wants to know, it's unidentified submerged object. So it's like UFOs except under the sea. Under the sea, under the sea. All right, darling, it's better down where it's wetter. Take it from me. Alrighty then. So that's a Little Mermaid for you. Now, I take it they have a playful side or something, or is that just me? But they are also said to be highly advanced, and they have, well, we know that, right, based on everything, and their allies are the Syrians, Pleiadians, and Venusians. Maybe that's what I'm picking up on. Venusians, I think, are playful, so that's an ally to the Alpha Centaurians, okay? So just to break it down to what are the gifts for you, Group 2? What gifts do you have that originate from your starseed origin? If this is your reading, you're strategic, you're tactical, you have like a very intelligent mind, sort of a knack for designing or figuring things out, and probably a lot of focus as well, okay? I think I already said that you're gifted with emotion, understanding, and creativity. So you're like the best of both worlds. You're like strategic and like sensitive as well. You're like heart and mind union, which is pretty cool. So let's get into your tarot cards. And this is the first time I'm using this deck. I'm so excited. I have to be very careful with it. This was a 35-year-old deck, and it smells brand new. And I was reminded of it when I was watching my favorite movie, well, one of my favorite movies, When Harry Met Sally. I did post a clip of that on my community page because it resonated with like last week or the week before with an a la carte reading that I did, just a random free roam reading. And anyways, and so on the movie, they have the Mythic Tarot box, you know, in the bookstore. And I was just like, I need to use that because I've just been like having it there, not wanting to use it because it's valuable, it's a collector's item, and it smells brand new, even though it is like 35 years old. So I was drawn to that. I really used my intuition to pick what decks to use for each group, and I think it's paid off quite nicely. I really felt like the deck that I chose for Group 1, oh my gosh, go watch Group 1 if you were drawn to that or interested at all, because that was amazing, and in terms of like the correlation between the images on the card and what was being said, and I feel like it's going to be the same for you guys. So in terms of, let's get a little bit more about your Starseed Origins Group 2. Believe it or not, we have for that question or that focus, the Page of Cups. Again, water. So what is that telling us? Okay. So what does this mean? This card, in terms of like, in the framework of everything else we talked about, this card talks about the unconscious attempting to make contact, though sometimes you aren't always sure what's being said. Okay. So I think this means that, you know, as a human, this is your starseed origin, you still interact with that version of yourself. But there are times in your human experience, presently, your AC origins can't always connect with you because you aren't always high vibe enough to connect with them, and or the divine timing isn't always right. So that was like I was saying before. So it's like a kid looking into the water, like, what am I to make of this, right? And that's wow, yeah. So in traditional Rider-Waite-Smith and other decks that are based on that, they don't show the kid looking into the cup. He's not. In this one, he is. And, you know, in the cup is water. Water represents emotion, psychic ability, intuition. So this is all the things we're talking about. We've got a child looking in the cup, trying to figure out what's in there. So that's saying to me that, like, your AC origins try to get through to you, but they can't always connect with you. And when they do try to get through to you, or you try to get through to them rather, you're not always sure if you've connected or what to make of what's being said. Okay, so sometimes your intuition could probably confuse you. Maybe when you're watching pick-a-card readings, for those that do that a lot, you know, you sometimes don't know which group to pick, or you pick the wrong group and it doesn't resonate at all, and then like you go and watch another group that just randomly, and a random reading does resonate with you. It's like sometimes you don't know what's being said. Again, you'd have to be extremely high vibe to connect with this being anyway, or this energy anyways. I feel like some of you can do that, but you're still learning. You're like in the early stages of learning to be in that violet frequency, which would make you exceptionally psychic and intuitive and visionary is what I'm hearing. So with that, Yeah, because these guys just can't really, they really can't connect to the lower frequencies. It's not comfortable for them. And but in terms of like your gifts, I feel like, you know, all of this just kind of, you know, says to me that you're probably somebody that's good at surprising people, like in a delightful way, or you're someone other people like to surprise because you have a delightful response. There's something about surprises, and I think you surprise yourself as well. Also, your inner child, you are in tune with that inner child as well. I feel like there's a part of the inner child that's never really grown up because it's never felt secure. Like, in order to feel secure and grow and blossom fully, you have to have a strong foundation. It's like Maslow's, you know, tower of needs, or something along those lines. Like your foundation has to be solid. Your root chakra has to be good. You have to feel safe in order to grow and blossom. And some of you, it's like, regardless of your age, you might still be sort of youthful. And so it's coming across as a strength. There's something delightful about your youthfulness and your innocence. For those that, you know, I'm getting, some of you feel like you're like innocent in a way, in a certain way. And also you do have good intuition. It's not to say that you don't. You have good intuition for a human, is what I'm hearing. Good intuition for a human. Oh, okay. It was him, I think, coming through. Maybe I did connect. Good intuition for a human. I love it. Okay. Sorry, guys. I just think that also, too, I was getting, when I first pulled the card, that you guys are like a breath of fresh air. Like, when people meet you, you're like a happy surprise. They weren't expecting you, okay? Something about you is happy, and as it relates to surprises and surprise. Like, you're like a breath of fresh air. Like, this is a cynical world. So then they meet you, and they're like, you are not what they expected. Again, you might seem like you're just like emotional or a loner or something like that. And really, you like kick their butt at a video game, or like, and you match wits with them and like easily win, and they're like, whoa, that was not how I saw that going. So there's that. And then what are you learning from all this? Like your journey, you know, as this AC being, you know, that being your origin. What are you learning? The next card come out was the Nine of Wands. And I just want to draw to your guys' attention that this is a fire sign card, and it's all about the ocean. If you didn't think that I was ridiculous when this card came out, because I pulled this after this. Yeah, well, I was pretty ridiculous. You didn't want to hear that anyway. Because it's Nine of Wands, it's fire energy. You can see the wands in the background on the island. I mean, this is the perfect card to come out for the rest of the reading. Look at all the water on these cards, guys. So this is to do with the lessons that you're learning, though. The Nine of Wands. This is about pushing forward. You see how this ship is caught up on the rocks? It's trying to get home, I assume. Oh my gosh, another layer. Trying to get home. There are buildings in like a town up here. There's steps that lead up to this town, and this poor ship is caught on the rocks. Can't get over the rocks. The ship is being smashed against the rocks. We've got some very scary looking waves there, and all that ship is trying to do is make it to the shore where the passengers can get off and go home. Let me just take a moment of appreciation to Spirit for that. Okay, so what was this saying? It's saying to push forward. You're on the last stretch. It's some of you are thinking about quitting, throwing in the towel, letting yourself just sort of sink in despair or give up on the hope that someday you will find where you belong, that you will finally feel at peace within yourself, and that you will be appreciated for all that you are, that you will just fit in and feel at home and at peace. Spirit's saying, no, don't do that. Be resilient, push through, okay? You're very close to victory right now. You're really close to success. This is acknowledging that it's been a long battle, and that you have spent, so much effort and time pursuing what you believe is right. And even though it was and has been, it may still even be very difficult and very draining, and more so than you thought it was when you incarnated. Because maybe you got a little carried away with yourself, right? Thinking that, oh, this earth stuff be a piece of cake. Or I know it'll be challenging and hard because they're just so dense down there, but I can pull it off. And then you get here, like, holy crap, are you serious? You're like, I'm here and getting your butt kicked. Some of you felt like that or feel like that, and this is saying that you're not. Okay, it's the last round of the boxing match, and you're about to pull a surprise knockout. Speaking of surprises, right? Going back to that analogy. So, you know, though it's been very difficult and draining, more so than you thought, and because the earth is extremely dense, especially for ACs, you're very close to victory and satisfaction. So yeah, some of you guys are really exhausted, and the lesson then is to push through because you have come so far. It's been a long journey, but success is very, very near. Look how near it is. Very near. So what is the outcome or big message from Spirit that Spirit wants you to know about the reading and your journey as an AC starseed? We got the Knight of Wands. Knight of Wands. So there's some sort of idea that some of you have or will be having. It'll be a spark of inspiration. You're being guided to take that wand and run with it. Like if you already have done that, like you set out on this journey and you're just like, you had so much determination when you started out to make it to your destination, and now that determination is sort of flailing. Again, things are not as you had thought they would be. I was just drawn to, I don't know what this is. Like I said, this is my first time using this card, using these cards. It looks like a goat that is also a tiger, no, a lion/goat hybrid with an arrow sticking out of it. So when we talk about this being harder than you thought, you're having to contend with monsters that you didn't see coming, like you never knew existed, that you did not expect. So you're all about experiencing good positive surprises as well as hard negative surprises here, but you're overcoming. He shot it down and he's like roaring on. So it's like, keep pushing. Manifest your idea. If you started, keep manifesting it. It's coming to fruition. You know, pursue a vision that you're passionate about. If you don't know what you're passionate about, keep trying things until you find something that sparks that light inside of you and be passionate about that. I feel like some of you used to be passionate about, you know, creating or finding your home or where you belong, but you're falling into despair, or you're on the verge of doing that potentially. Spirit is saying, don't do it. Okay? Remember why you started this journey. What were you wanting to accomplish when you first set out? And that is what you need to keep your eye on the prize, keep your eye on the target. But it's also a little warning with this card too, just saying, you know, don't get too carried away. Is there a group of you out there who's gotten too carried away and you're highly focused on action, and like, you know, you need to still tune into that watery side of yourself, that receptive side of yourself, the realm of intuition and the realm of emotion to help guide you so you can be balanced in your approach. Only through balance, cooler heads prevailing, will you make it over this barrier and get to your final destination here, get to your home. So they're wanting you like to know that, yes. So it's balancing act. So I guess it just depends on who's watching. For those of you who are very melancholy and you're very much in or at risk of dying here on the rocks, they're saying, you know, fight the power, reignite your passion, eye on the prize, move it. You can do it. You got this. And for those of you who are like, you know that you're close to your destination, so you're just like ramming against the rock, ramming against the rock, ramming against the rock. They're saying, just take it down a notch, because when we go with the flow is when we're most powerful. Okay, so find a way to balance those two energies. Don't be brash, impulsive, or unrealistic. You know, just make sure you keep an eye on that, regardless of what scenario you fall into, because this is a very action-oriented, adventurous, and fearless night. And some of you are trying to make your way home from a literal journey. Like maybe you went to Europe to find yourself or something, and now you're just trying to get home. But others of you, I feel like it's like more metaphorical. So that's what we got there for you. And I do feel like some of you that really resonating with the more melancholy sort of energy and not listening to your intuition as much, or your sensitivity as much, or have been bogged down by it, or being weighed down by, pushed down by it. I feel like you are on the verge of experiencing a revival, you know, being brought back to life. Fire means life, right? So you're gonna regain and find once again your vitality. And it's through this energy of pushing through that you will ultimately connect with your origins. This is what raises your vibration. Not giving up. Finding the right balance between external force and internal force, between action and emotion. It's beautiful. I love it. All right, so let's get into your final 3 cards. The oracle cards that came out. From the Moonology deck, we've got emotions are running high. Supermoon, yeah. So yeah, we can see that. Emotions are running high, and you need to navigate all these emotions to get to your destination. Whether those emotions are yang energy or yin energy. Whether it's brash impulsiveness or fear and despair, needs to be navigated. And we've got Diana, focused intention. Okay, so she's telling you how to do it through focused intention. She's got her moon on her head. Moon is the realm of the intuition, Cancerian energy, Piscean energy, all the water signs. Diana's kind of like, yeah, fiery too. It says, think about what you desire. Set your sights high. Expect the best possible outcome. So again, on target. Oh my gosh. Now, tripping. Okay. Image, Star Wars. He's going for it. The original one, A New Hope. He's like trying to get to the Death Star. He's got milliseconds to make that shot. They called it the impossible shot, right? And the guy in his ear is telling him, on target, that's you. And this is me telling you, stay on target, okay? Think about what you desire, set your sights high, expect the best possible outcome. Some of you could be Sagittarius too, with the bow and arrow there. I'm also getting Scorpio, but any sign, you can be any sign. Then we've got Bridget, inner strength. You have that fire within you guys, all right? It is still there, whether you understand or not, if you think so or not, it is still there. You have the inner strength. It says, move back to wholeness. Recognize that you have the power. What did I say before? I said, you have the power and you are to create your home. You are to create that place that you're longing for. It's no longer there. I don't think it is. I think I read in the book on one of these cards that the home is no longer there. Like physically, it's not. Like in some realm it is, because, you know, time is an illusion, but you're being charged basically to create your own home. So, you know, create your own home, create your own sense of belonging. It starts from within you instead of waiting for it to happen to you, waiting for the right perfect storm of things to come together. That's a movie, Perfect Storm, George Clooney. Is there a resonance, Spirit, for some? Why is that? Because of who he is, not necessarily. Well, yeah, there is a resonance. Okay, if you look at the water as symbolic in your journey, metaphorical journey that you're going through, then that might be a good movie for you to watch to get some further insights. If not just to be simply entertained, but it's more about the background story of his life that'll resonate too for some with this reading. Though, getting off track because I'm excited for the way this reading has unfolded. It's so synchronistic, and that's just always a lot of fun for me. So just remember, you choose where your home is located. Okay, again, connect with the earth, drawn to the green here again, to heal, you know, the wounds of the past, that sense of not belonging or lonesomeness. And this will help you to grow. That the earth will give you the solid foundation that you need in order to blossom and grow, to prosper. Okay? And so stay on target. The target should be moving to wholeness. Okay? And it has to have something to do with completing yourself, feeling complete, feeling at home. The passion will help you to get there, as long as it's tempered, and recognize that you have the power. Okay, that's what I've got for you guys. Thank you for tuning in. I hope it was helpful. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell to receive notifications so you don't miss my next video. If you'd like a private reading, my contact information is in the description box. I am going to move on to group 3. Remember, just take what resonates, forget what doesn't, and follow me to group 3 if you feel drawn to. You can always watch more than one reading too. If the reading didn't resonate, feel free to choose from the playlists linked down below. However, this is the only one of this type of reading that I have done. So hopefully it's helpful in some way. Now moving on.